Social Customer Relationship Management, or SCRM, is a subject that can no longer be ignored by businesses that want to stay competitive. Everyone in the organization must participate. While it's especially important for marketing and sales teams, it's also important to product developers and even executives, many of whom today are blogging with some regularity and indeed some abandon. And it's apparently not a fad. It is in fact a new way of communicating. It has become an integral part of the fabric of our society. But what is social CRM? Well, let's begin by trying to put a definition to it. Martin Walsh, who is the head of digital marketing at IBM in Australia, defines it most succinctly. He says, it is a process to monitor, engage and manage conversations and relationships with existing and prospective customers and influencers across the internet, social networks and digital channels. More generally, it is a process of converting content into conversations and extending these conversations into collaborative experiences and then transforming these experiences into meaningful relationships. It's all about using all manner of cutting-edge technology channels to connect with your prospects and your customers in new and perhaps even more meaningful ways. Let's face it, customers have moved well beyond the traditional buying arena. They are so far from dependent on salespeople that some salespeople are literally losing relevance. Unless they meet their customers where they are, and that is out in the digital realm, they risk becoming a charming anachronism. Customers can get all the information they could possibly want, or indeed need, on the internet, and can have that deluge of information interpreted for them by other customers who are willing to share their experience with every product and service under the sun. Indeed, customers are forming relationships, even alliances, based on their shared experiences with products, services, and the organizations that offer them. So let's look for a moment at how sales and marketing communication used to look compared to how it looks today. In a sales dialogue, there used to be a kind of symmetry to the flow of information between a buyer and a seller. There were, if you like, steps to the dance that were intrinsically understood and indeed accepted by both parties. And this symmetry endured even through transformative business cycles such as the dot-com period. However, the advent of social media, with its democratization of information flow and disintermediation of messengers, has introduced an asymmetry that is becoming truly disruptive. So many interlopers have inserted themselves into the buyer-seller relationship, or have been wittingly or unwittingly co-opted, that if you wanted to visually represent it, you'd be better off handing a crayon to a child than using Visio's neat process flow diagrams. The seemingly random scribbles and overlapping loops and circles typical of a child's drawing bear far greater resemblance to the way we've begun to use the ever-increasing information tools at our disposal. Today, the typical interaction between a buyer and a seller can include or be informed by a combination of face-to-face interactions, phone, emails, professional networking sites, third-party review sites, tweets, Google alerts, information swapping sites like Jigsaw, and a host of other tools from the ever-expanding web and Sales 2.0 universe. Marketing communication used to be one way. It was, as Martin Walsh points out, a monologue. Now it's a dialogue. It's at least two-way and often multi-way. Sales had, with the advent of consultative selling, bridged the gap between company and customer. But now the customer wants more. The customer wants to be involved. They want a relationship that brings business value. It used to be all about command and control, even in consultative selling. Information, the message, was controlled by the salesperson or marketer. The customer simply received it. Now it's about the network. Customers receive and give with equal freedom. The conversation is many to many. And where it used to be carefully orchestrated and controlled, it's now chaotic and beyond the control of the selling company. Where the brand was once under the control of marketing and advertising, it is now in the hands of the customers who tweet about it, who blog about it, they rate it, and indeed they often morph it. It's no longer possible to control the flow of information, Information has literally gotten out of control. But all is not lost. The customer is still open to a relationship. He has simply redefined the contours of that relationship. Social CRM provides a manageable solution to delivering on the age-old priority concepts. Number one, relationships are key. And two, the customer is always number one. The primary benefits of a social media marketing strategy can be summed up as low cost, high reward for building relationships that can bridge the gap between you, the seller, and your buyers. According to a 2008 US Marketing Executives Networking Group study, using a social media strategy increased the speed of feedback and results by 60%. Increased direct customer communications by 65%. And increased customer engagement by an astounding 85%. And that was 2 years ago. At the speed of business and technology today, it's practically a lifetime. Imagine where we are now. In August 2008, Facebook had 100 million active users. But as of July 2010, it had 500 million active users and is continuing to grow exponentially. Twitter is now attracting 190 million visitors per month and generating 65 million tweets a day. At the beginning of 2010, there were 126 million active blogs on the internet, as tracked by Blog Pulse. These statistics illustrate the power of social media as a tool to opening doors and building both new and existing opportunities for sales roles. Pieces of information now turn into conversations, opening doors for revenue opportunities. Information on products and services are shared more quickly, decreasing the need for decision time and increasing time for lead generation and pipeline management activity. In addition, social CRM allows for consolidation of pertinent information to be absorbed quickly. It builds and reinforces relationships that now only take moments to maintain. It delivers information in a fraction of the time at a fraction of the cost. So as always, the choices come down to 1. Ignoring this growing reality. 2. Diving headfirst into it and perhaps recklessly embracing every social media and Sales 2.0 tool that comes along. Or 3. Taking a thoughtful, strategic approach that embraces the concept of social CRM.